Welcome to the Fullcaster Podcast, episode 31. Our guest today is Howie Idleson, an experienced and successful karter in his own right. Many know the name Idleson actually from his son Dane these days, who races in juniors now. We're going to get him on board in just a sec, but so we can roll right into it because we know that Howie's a busy man. Let's jump out and make some current events happen here, Dirk. We just had Tri-C round number 4 this last weekend.
Halfway through the season now.
Indeed, halfway through the season. I've only done the last 2, so I'm probably not going to be anywhere near the championship hunt with only 1 drop, but we did have another...
With the way Masters are driving right now, you never know.
Yeah.
You can definitely make some stuff up.
Yeah, well, if the right ones do the right things.
Fair
right?
enough, yeah.
But it was a good one for me. I was able to get on the top step. We're still testing that VLR engine for Rock Vegas, which, by the way, just got announced where it's going to be. Planet Hollywood,
right
over there, going to do their thing. I'm actually really looking forward to
Planet Hollywood will appreciate the business.
Yeah, really?
This is going to help.
I don't know anything about Vegas. So that's going to be cool to check that out. We announced our, I say we as in Cal Speed Karting, announced the Summer Shootout event, and I'm really stoked about that with both Garrett Potter and Tom Kutcher kind of holding hands there and give us some support with, we're doing Evenco tires and that, and then having tickets to both Rock Vegas and Supernats for the 4
that's
classes.
Gonna be awesome.
So that's going to be pretty bitching to get that going. That'll happen in June, or excuse me, that'll happen August 1st. So that's kind of what we've been doing lately, and we're hyped up on ourselves. But specifically going back to you, because I want to talk about this last weekend with Tri-C, you finally got back in the seat, brother.
Yeah, that was a good weekend to come back. Like we've been seeing in recent episodes, kind of took some time away. Not because I wanted to, just because my ribs were struggling from challenge. So finally got them healed back to a point where I can drive and it's manageable. And I also just got a Steeler rib vest, and that was a huge help as well.
That's that carbon curva thing they got, right?
Yeah. So thanks to Jay Braxton for getting me dialed in with that. That thing was a huge help. But yeah, I had a good return back here to Tri-C Karters and was back at the sharp end like I was hoping I would be.
Didn't get that pole. Didn't make it 3 in a row.
But got lucky for me, it was no one in the championship that got pole. So
the 5 points.
Yeah. That kind of helps me feel a little bit better about it.
And you were racy.
Yeah,
like you said, at the sharp end, you got some things done. I mean, I wasn't sure if you're going to go all in with the ribs and stuff like that, but you got it done pretty good. You got another heat race win to your name. Yeah,
I was able to out chess match a little bit Ethan Lampy. He made a mistake and he knew what it was, and I was able to get back by him on the last lap, get the first heat race win, and then he kind of got by me on the second and stayed out in front. But no, I was able to stay at the sharp end. Unfortunately, I just got gassed in that main event.
Yeah.
Which
well, you've pretty much been out of the seat for 2 months. For the most part.
No, and I definitely started to feel it. I felt really good in the heats. Like I could keep going, and then about lap 6 or so in the main, I'm like, whew.
Throw the checker.
Yeah, let's finish this thing already. But no, I ended up coming out 4th, which is fine. Honestly, the whole goal for the day was just make it through and not hurt myself too much.
Yeah.
I was able to.
Well, yeah, it was a good run for you. Again, going for the championship there in 100cc Senior, and that's 3 rounds you've done, and you've gotten a 3rd and 2 fourths with heat race wins in each one.
Well, it's funny. Technically, in the first one where I got 4th, I got 3rd.
That's right.
I crossed the line in 4th, but one of the guys got dinged in tech, so I got bumped up to 3rd. So
nice. Maybe
I got to just
Matt Kenseth this thing. You get 4th the whole time. Don't even get a podium.
If you ask Matt Johnson, I got a lot of other stuff to fix, and then I can then I can finish it in the main event.
Matty will know the inside joke there if you listen to the episode. So that's the gig lately, going racing, trying to get things rolling. This is, like I said, episode 31, which is a little bit off kilter. We're actually recording 30 next week, just the way things line up. So we'll kind of get things back on track after this. Just got a moment to get Howie on board. Well, he's busy work schedule, and I think without further ado, let's go ahead and get the man himself, Howie Idleson. Howie, thanks again for coming over here, man. It is a work day for you, and you came over here with the laptop and just finished a Zoom call on the way. It does not no rest for the weary, huh?
Yeah, this work from home thing,
Yeah, a little bit tougher.
Yeah, they don't know where I'm at.
Nice. And to that end, what is it that you do for a living?
Well, I'm a designer by trade, and I work for a company called MW Company. We own 9 sort of automotive lifestyle brands, including Momo, Weld, ForgeStar, CCW, ADV1, among others. Momo Tires now, and so I'm the head of. I'm the creative director for all the brands.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how long have you been with this company, and it may be in that industry specifically?
Yeah, I've been with this company since November. So it's a new gig for me.
Okay.
They kind of moved from a sales first company to a marketing first on the first of this year. So they ramped up this marketing department, and I was one of the first hires.
All right.
So we're building up a department. We're 10 now, and we're going to grow to 20 by the end of the year.
Wow. Rolling. And how long have you been doing the design gig?
A long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I started in school drawing on my notebooks and stuff. So
Okay.
I mean, I've been drawing and I don't know what else I could do for a living. Maybe work in a bike shop or something.
Yeah. You do the cycling thing, do you?
I like bikes. Yeah. I worked in a bike shop.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was one of the best jobs I ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? Do you still ride?
Yeah.
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 Just do the cycling. I can't get into it too much. I mean, I did for a little while, and then I don't know. I think it just flat out is me being lazy. That's the problem. But it's fun in a group though.
Exercise.
Yeah. I'm already have a hard time with
Everybody rides a bike. Come
Yeah.
on, man.
Well, everybody starts out. Like, I remember when I was 5. That's when I got on a bike for the first time.
Yeah.
So you're doing the design thing now, and actually, speaking of which, I just fairly recently I saw that you had done the design for the Jacques Villeneuve program, right?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
So, I mean, I try to just stay connected to stuff. I love design, and I love it. It's kind of almost a hobby too. And anytime I get a chance to work within racing or action sports or something like that, I do. And through a friend of mine, Craig Feiner, up in Canada, who runs a kart track up there, and he contacted me and said, "Hey, I guess Jacques is involved in the kart track and in the big track up there called Area 57 or something. I can't remember what the name of it, but it's a cool place. It's like a country club kart track and racetrack. And he called and asked if I would do some branding for Jacques Villeneuve. He needed a new corporate logo. So originally I did that, and then he said he called back again and said they were going to do a kart brand, and
They knew they got a call.
yeah, and it was really cool. I mean, pretty stoked to be involved in that, because
Right.
I think it'll get a lot of publicity.
Well, it's pretty damn cool too, and I talked about it on the opening there that your kid Dane races. I assume you've done the design on all like his helmets and his sticker kits and stuff like that too. So it's not like you're not fresh in the design game with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I continue to do it all the time. I do all the stuff for PSL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so they're we're just really close, and I love those guys, and they send me a lot of stuff to do, and we need a lot of go-kart parts, so it just works really well.
It's a nice little match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we're talking about karting here, and you doing design since you were a little kid with the notebook and stuff like that. Let's scroll on back to you being a little kid. How did you get into racing and stuff like that? And were you did you grow up with it or born into it or anything?
Yeah, so my dad made a terrible mistake and took us to a go-kart race once, and my brother and I, and that was just a death nail, and a kid up the street, they were moving and they were having a garage sale, and there was this go-kart with no motor on it, and it was out in front, and we begged the kid to make us a deal, and they sold it to us, I think, for $90, and we gave them each a $5 bill and told them they were moving somewhere else in the neighborhood. We said we'd pay them $10 a month until it was paid off. And
Nice.
So,
Little payment plan.
yeah, unbeknownst to my dad, and
Use the allowance money or whatever.
yeah. And so every day we took it home, we coasted it home, and put it in the backyard under a tarp. every day after school, we'd take it up our hill and take turns coasting it down, and we were having a great time. And then we'd put it back in the backyard under this tarp, and hopefully the parents didn't find out. And one day, my dad came home early from work, and he busted us riding down the hill, and
wow.
We thought it was over, it was gone. But he actually felt sorry for us, so over the weekend he took us to the lawnmower shop, got us a motor.
Nice.
And they told us where the track was, the local track, and we went out there, and just it was just heaven,
Where'd you grow up at?
Palisades, Pacific Palisades.
Okay.
So yeah.
So when you went to that kart race the first time, where was that, and what was it?
Oxnard.
Okay.
Yeah, the original Oxnard track, which was right on the beach.
Gotcha.
Owned by the Yagi family.
The Yagis.
Yeah, super cool people. And it was almost like the Adams kind of situation. Was they had all kinds of family members involved, like cousins, and and it was the place to go race.
So when you guys are coasting down there, what kind of is this an actual like race cart that you guys got, or was it like a yard cart kind of thing that the kids got, or what kind of cart was it?
It was I think it was an old bug.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Go-kart, that somebody had raced at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it just rolled.
Nice.
Right.
It was literally a roller.
Yeah.
And what year is that ish? Do you remember?
Late 70s.
Late 70s. Okay. So you guys, you see the race. Did your dad race at all? What made you guys go to the kart track in the first place?
I think he was just thinking of, what can I do with these kids? To get them out. And every once in a while we'd go somewhere weird where like a model airfield, or he was a fighter pilot.
Oh
yeah. And so he was really into planes, and I was into planes too. I loved planes. And so it was just one of those things that there's a go-kart. I don't even know if he knew it was there. We kind of stumbled on it.
Gotcha.
And we just bugged the hell out of him after that. It was like, Dad, we got to do this.
Why didn't you say so? Why were you guys hiding the go-kart in the first place?
I think it,
There's no way he's going to let us keep it.
There's no rhyme or reason when you're 8 years old or whatever, and you've done something against your parents' will. It's you gotta hide that stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys end up going to a lawnmower shop, and you get the motor. You guys start racing straight away after that?
We a couple practice days with the whole family. Like my mom drove it. Everybody got in it and drove. There's nobody around, and then we'd walk around the track and try and find what fell off, and it was just that kind of thing. And then I guess being at the track, we found out that there were races, and there was one coming up, and we went, and I was going to race, but there was no one to race against, and so the
it was like in the class for that car, what have you?
Yeah, I get there or no young kids
all right.
I can't remember exactly, but the guy who ran the track, the Japanese dude, he said, I make a special race for you, and you're going to race this kid Hugo, and he was like the track champion in that class, but didn't have raced on the national level, and there just wasn't, you know how it is out here. Sometimes there's just nobody around. It was the X30 of that time. And so, we lined up, and they dropped the green, and Hugo takes off, and just he went into a different stratosphere. And it was just such an eye-opening thing. I thought, man, I'm going to race. I'm going to be great. And, I just had this idea that everything was going to go so well, and it just was so demoralizing. I went and got out of the go-kart, went back to the car, and locked myself in and just cried.
Oh man!
Yeah, and my dad came back, and he's just like, okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go and race that kid, shake his hand afterwards, and then we're going to come back here and get another motor, and we're going to beat his ass. and eventually we did.
Put a little carrot out there.
Yeah. It was just, it was we were all in at that point. There was no going back. We knew that this was what it was going to be, and like I think that passion for this sport was just found at that moment, and it's never kind of wavered. I've always been I've always felt that passion for this sport. It's even grown over the years. I love it. I love all the tinkering with the go-karts, the new products that come out. I just geek out on it. I love all of it. I love, watching races from around the world, and just the whole sport itself. I'm fascinated by.
When you first got into that kart, and as you say, Hugo goes and makes a mess of things. What was it about it? Like you'd been going down the hills or whatever, coasting, but when you fired that thing up and got a chance to do some laps, what you remember what it was that really got you fired up? Because as the years go on, right, you can learn more and more about it and grow. But those first times, you remember what it was?
I think just controlling, being in control of something fast, at that young age, it's such a powerful sort of experience for a kid. I had a mini bike at the time. I had BMX bike. I raced BMX. I was really into figuring out how to win in BMX. And I loved everything with a motor. And it just combined all of that stuff. And to be able to drive something with four wheels was just such an amazing thing.
Yeah, instead of riding with the BMX thing. But so it sounds like you're already pretty competitive kid at this point.
Yeah.
And you jump into this thing. What motor did you end up getting? And do you remember how those early years go? Because to your point, like as a munchkin, there's not a lot of kids doing the racing thing.
Yeah, I think it was a McCulloch something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even tell you.
Did they even have? Was it junior at the time? It was just you got into a thing.
Yeah, it was. They had rookie junior.
Okay.
It was called Rookie Junior, which was our sort of cadet, but there was no smaller go-karts. All the go-karts were one size.
Right.
So it was
trying to make a kid fit in the full-size stuff.
Yeah. But they were smaller too, so it wasn't
right.
wasn't such a stretch. I mean, you'd see the senior guys with their knees in their chin, mainly when they're driving those things.
So actually, now that I was thinking about, I was like, well, see, Howie's not like the tallest person on the planet. Turns out those early go-karts were made for Howie.
Right. Yeah.
They're actually about that same size. The whole family can go on there.
Yeah, they've just grown over the years. I mean, sometimes I can't get over how big they actually are now. They're big and heavy, and they're
compared to Actually, I was just chatting with over the weekend at the end of the race on Saturday. Lloyd Mack.
Oh yeah,
Lloyd Mack and Jim Barry are kind of trading war stories and stuff like that. And I was talking about the weight of, we were like at 383 or something for Masters. We were doing it, but the cart itself with a little bit of fuel in it was $178. And he was saying something about how the weight back then for the senior, whatever the hell it was like 225.
Wow.
Combined, like that's everything.
Yeah.
I'm like the carts back then
over 100 pounds less.
Yeah, when you talk about these guys who are going and just picking these carts up and like tossing them, they only 100 pounds back then. Though.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on. The engines are, he was saying like the engine is the size of the cylinder of a current KA or something like that right now. Just so small. So yeah, I mean, I would think someone like yourself who's got a chance to see the progression throughout the years, all these different sizes. Yeah, there's a lot of go-kart right there.
It is a lot of go-kart. I mean, I remember at sort of like the peak of 100cc, the power to weight ratio back, I would say in the 90s when I was going to Europe a lot, racing over there, and the carts were so light and so freaking fast, and it was an open tire, so all the manufacturers would be there. But it's direct drive, so easy to lift up the back end and run and jump in,
Right.
And now, we play around with a direct drive sometimes. It's all I can to push that thing to get it going.
I believe
with
it.
my kid in it, and or like if you ran off the track, you could grab it with one hand and pull it back on. run and jump back in, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and it's just, you know, it's just an evolution.
Yeah.
There's more stuff on them.
Yeah, but you're world's strongest man to go and do that now these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
Well, going back to that, so before we start getting into maybe the heyday of your car, so you're racing as a munchkin, and you said your family's kind of all in. Are you the only one who races? You said your brother was involved as well. Did the family go racing as a unit?
Yeah, it was mainly my dad and my brother and me. Yeah. So shortly after we had another go-kart, and I mean, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
You just start accumulating stuff, and we had a trailer, and we just hit the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you guys race? Like, were you doing? Was it IKF back then? Like, you said you started at Oxnard. Did you keep racing there, or did you guys go all over the place?
Yeah, pretty much right away we started going to Adams, to Bakersfield. Yeah, just all around the state, pretty much.
Did you take to it pretty well? The driving, did you pick it up pretty quickly?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, I did. I just wanted it so bad, you know. I wanted to win, and like I would say to my dad, you know, at the beginning, I was like, "Dad, I'm never gonna win." He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna win," and because I'd be so frustrated, and he goes, "Give it a year, and it was about a year. Yeah.
And then things start clicking for you pretty quick after that.
I think so. Yeah. I got good at kind of visualizing things. I don't know how I figured that out as a kid. It's so weird to have a kid now and who's different than I was and watch his trajectory. But I think I figured out a couple things. I figured out how to transfer that desire to win into visualization, kind of. Not that I knew that was a word or anything, but I could, like, I remember like coming to the line, looking over a kid that or making a pass or something, drag racing down the straightaway, looking over and willing the go-kart forward somehow, you know, and I, you know, who knows how much, I didn't have any control over it at that point, but you know, just that mental aspect, I think I discovered early. And I also discovered how to get in other kids' heads at the track early. Yeah. Which
Bit
was
of a mind game player, are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
And that, or just sizing up kids that way, you know, off the track.
Sure.
Yeah. And that was a big part of it as well.
The intellectual or the mental side of things.
Yeah.
So your brother races as well, and does he take to it like you do?
Yeah, I mean, he dug it, but I don't think he had the interest that I had.
And had the fire.
Yeah. I mean, he was good. He was every bit as good as I was, but he had other things he was interested in.
Yeah. But not Howie. He wants to go kart racing.
Yeah.
And did you have a drive to be more than like just kart racing? Like, oh, I want to go racing. Did you watch it on TV? Did you watch other racing on TV? Were you a race fan?
Not really at that point.
Yeah.
I wasn't even really aware. I mean, I remember watching the Indy 500, but beyond that, not really. It wasn't way later in my career where I started to be aware of cars and really start to chase
So
that.
didn't go to the Grand Prix or any of that kind of stuff while you're over here?
Much later on.
Yeah.
You know, as later in my teens, I think.
Yeah.
Even the way you discovered it, you just you found a cart, and that was how it started. It's not like, to Mike's point, you weren't watching racing, right?
Yeah.
You just
I wasn't
here's a
geeking out
go-kart.
on racing. I loved watching motocross at that point. I was really that really excited me was motocross.
And that's a more direct link, if you will, from say like BMX and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And to your point, you said that you were BMX racing. Were you BMX racing prior to the karting stuff then?
Yeah.
So how did you get into that, and how come you didn't end up did you not do motocross because you did karting instead? And did you drop BMX altogether at that karting point?
I got really into BMX. I was racing all the time on the local, mainly the local. I mean, it was a pretty big deal here. And I got into it through riding my BMX bike at the park and going over jumps, and then there was like an organized park race series near us that I would go to called Palms Park, and we'd race there on Thursday nights or something. And then I found out about the races at other places, when we started, I'd get a ride from somebody there. My parents weren't really involved in it, but it was something that I could go and do with other kids or get a ride if I needed one and get to the races. And I kind of did it on my own.
And you dug the motocross thing.
Yeah. And I had a motorcycle for a little while, like a 125, and I raced that a little bit, and I just sucked.
Okay,
but
were the parents into that thing, or were they like, hey, this 4-wheel thing's a little bit maybe better or safer than the 2-wheel thing, or didn't that pop up?
Yeah, originally it was I got a motorcycle. I just bugged the hell my dad until I just beat him down, and we got a motorcycle, and then he got a motorcycle, and we would go trail riding. My brother wasn't interested, but my little sister was interested, and we got her like a mini, and we would go out and go trail riding every once in a while, and that was really fun. But it was all short-lived. I mean, karting just took over our lives.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So once you started doing that, you were kind of focused in on that deal. But none of it stemmed from this drive to be a race car driver or this passion for racing in general. It really was, this karting thing's pretty badass, and I just want to do that. Did you start learning more about what was out there? Like you said, you started traveling around. Was it, I don't care what championship it is, I want to go win that championship, whether it be local or otherwise? And how did you find out about these other tracks and other races?
Yeah. So, I mean, at that time, it was IKF and IKF only. I mean, it was, IKF was big.
This is through the 80s right here?
Yeah. So Region 7 IKF was massive. Mm-hmm. And it was, to do well at a Region 7 IKF race was like, a SKUSA. It was, I would say, somewhere in between a Pro Tour and a
the Pro Kart.
Pro Kart. Yeah. I mean, they were big races, and it's such a different sport back then, though. There weren't big teams or anything like that. Everybody was an individual, but definitely characters and badasses, and karting company involvement, but on a different scale. It was just, but yeah. So we did Region 7 for the most part, and then we'd go to the nationals, wherever the Grand Nationals were. So you had to get your punches through Region 7, and then wherever the Grand Nationals were, a lot of times in like Quincy or wherever.
Traveling all over.
Traveling, yeah.
So when you guys are doing the regional stuff and whatnot, and I think we were talking to, I'm drawing a blank now. Oh, it was Derek Zimmerman. It was like you'd have proper track champions because you'd run at your local track, and you'd run the club stuff, and the club stuff was big.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, obviously, in the 90s into 2000, but still, like you said, there was the involvement of the different, say, shops or groups, or everyone was kind of an individual. Did Oxnard continue to be your local track, or did you kind of move and establish yourself somewhere else?
At the beginning, it was Oxnard, but then then it became Adams.
Yeah.
Adams was big. Yeah, that's where we were pretty much. Region 7 was pretty much Adams, and I think we raced SoCal Sprinters, and that was based at Adams. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and so we did a lot of racing there.
And you started at just shy of teenage years, right?
Yeah,
and so you became a quote, a senior driver, whatever, fairly quickly. So you're running. Right, because it was 16, I think you had to be, or 18.
Yeah, 16, 15. I mean, same as it is now.
Yeah,
I mean, well, now it's younger. I don't know why they're doing that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's they're moving them up to, I think, too early.
Right. Well, you're running with the adults back then. You remember who some of your biggest competition was? And to Derek's point earlier about you take to it pretty quick. How do you do? Right. Are you good right out of the gate there with these things?
Yeah, then, I mean, jumping around, but at some point I moved from my dad doing everything to working with Tom Nields. I don't know if you know who he is, but
I think I've heard the name.
Yeah. But backing up, we did a stint in Europe. We went to Europe for a year.
How old were you then?
15.
Oh, wow.
12, yeah.
You guys grabbed a gear on
that
this
was pretty
thing.
early on then.
Yeah. Well, we were a few years in. I mean, from 11 to 15.
Yeah.
So went to Europe,
How'd you get there? How'd that happen? How did the European thing?
My parents figured out that they could. Another family went. They traded houses with a British family.
Oh,
and so we did the same thing. And like a year later,
gotcha.
So friends of theirs did that, and we went over, and it was awesome.
Yeah. So you go over there and you do some racing over in Europe.
Yeah.
Where'd you race, and where were you at?
In England, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then when we came back, it was kind of like, I think my dad was kind of done, and my parents were going to get a divorce, and so I kind of had to figure out my own path at that point.
Yeah.
And I just kind of did whatever I could. I scrimped and saved and got a cart and figured out how to get to the track, and then I got hooked up with Tom Nields, and that sort of changed everything, because Tom was he was probably one of the best drivers in the country at that point.
Oh, wow.
And, but also became one of the best engine builders as well. And we hit everything. We went everywhere. And he also worked at Horseman. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, it's so weird. I mean, these were big karting companies that they're
Right.
completely gone
Yeah.
and insignificant. Clutches were such a big thing back then with
That was
Yamahas.
what Billy Cleveland was saying. Horseman
Yeah.
was one of the big ones
Yeah.
back then.
So it was up in Monrovia, and they were also the Yamaha engine, I want to say importer, or one of the big distributors. So I would go, we'd go late at night, Tom and I, we'd go into Horseman, go through all the Yamaha motor boxes, unbolt, 10 at a time,
Holy
cylinders.
shnikes.
Yeah. Find the best cylinders, build clutches, just, it was so crazy.
For you as a teenager, this is happening.
Yeah. Late teens. We had access to everything, and we went out and we won everywhere. It
Wow.
was so crazy. I mean, they had some pro series. They had a lot of street races. They had, the nationals, IKF nationals, and we just went to everything and won everything.
Wow.
And it was pretty amazing.
Man.
And it was the two of you driving?
No, he wasn't driving. He was wrenching.
At that point,
yeah,
it was
he was doing
the
all
Howie
the
Idleson show on course, huh?
It was really cool.
Neat.
And we won a bunch of money. I mean, there were big pro races. We would race. We were racing out at Saga Speedway. I remember one summer, I paid for my room and board through winnings.
Wow.
Yeah, because they had pro racing Saturday nights at Saga Speedway, and you'd win, I want to say $300, $200, and we were just taking all their money.
You were winning
Oh,
enough.
man.
Yeah.
Golly.
It was really cool.
What a time!
Yeah.
What a time! And so, how long do you do that for? You and Tom, how long does that relationship last? And how long do you do that for?
It was a few years. Gosh, it's such a blur now. But yeah, I mean, we were linked up for, I don't know, maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
And then after that,
And this is through your late teens,
Yeah.
almost 20s.
yeah, into the 20s, and then I think I went back. Then I went back to Europe with Horseman. Tom wasn't involved, but we went to the World Championships. We started doing that, and with all this Horseman experimental crazy stuff, these ceramic axle clutches and power jet carburetors that were operated on the steering wheel. And,
Wow.
I mean, crazy. I mean, it was pretty much open racing, big horsepower, 135 cc, rotary valve motors with really light go-karts. And
I was about to say the go-karts are still super light back then too.
yeah. So we, that was right around also the time I started a company called Gearbox with Bob Harrow, who was one of my best friends.
I didn't know that you were behind Gearbox.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Bob and I put that together. Bob had sold Harrow bikes and had a non-compete, and he was kind of fascinated with the whole go-kart world that I was doing, and we took a surf trip one year and kind of came up with this idea on the beach that we're gonna make go-kart stuff. and it was a really dumb idea, but it was fun when we did it. Yeah,
Man.
How old were you around that point?
early 20s, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, and you had said room and board. So you went to college then out of high school?
Yeah. No, I didn't go to college. I was just living on my own.
Oh,
at that
all
point.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what'd you do or you said room and board off
Yeah.
the winnings. Are
Yeah.
you just a go-kart racer? What are you
pretty
doing?
pretty much, yeah. I had this arrangement where I paid a little bit of rent. I had this. There were these two kids that were in school. The mom was a single mom, and I had to like be home when they got home from school, get them something to eat, make sure they did their homework.
Professional babysitter.
Yeah,
Howie
exactly.
Idleson.
Exactly. Yeah.
Business card. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, man. And just corrupted those kids so bad. But
Did they get in karting too?
no, you
You didn't corrupt them that bad.
They were
didn't
super nerdy stoners.
They were having none of that karting business.
Yeah, but so my rent was greatly reduced, but I lived off of that.
Wow.
that racing.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
To be able to do that, that's so.
It
that's
was
so
nuts. And also during that time, I mean, man, a lot happened. I got a supercart. I got a 250
Oh,
supercart.
wow.
At the time, I started racing that, and they had a pro tour for that too.
Oh,
that this
wow.
guy with a some diamond watch company sponsored, and the trophy was this really expensive watch, and I still have that thing.
Get
Oh,
out.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's freaking awesome.
it was cool. And so we raced at Sears Point, Laguna Seca, and Willow Springs. Yeah, that was crazy. Those things are so fast.
I know that for the longest time at Portland International,
Yeah.
a supercart had the track record there. It was faster than an IndyCar for a while. For a while.
Wow.
I mean, I think this changed since the years have gone by, but those things are bloody quick.
Yeah.
Those are really fast.
Yeah, really fast.
It's not as big as anymore though. I haven't seen, even on the endurance side, the road racing side, I haven't seen a lot of the supercarts out there either. With was it Northern California endurance racers? I can't remember what the club is called or what the regional is called, but yeah, on the road racing side of things, it definitely seems to have gone more the lay down or sit up stuff.
Yeah.
Did you have a learning curve going from the sprint carts to the super carts?
No.
It was pretty easy to pick up.
It was easy, and that's how I wound up doing so well. There were all these road race guys that had, they're breaking, 200 yards from the corner, and I was just driving it in, and
okay,
like a sprint cart, and it just worked so well.
I actually was just talking to Jim. I was telling you they were trading War Swords of Lloyd, and actually he said that a lot of the sprint drivers, when they went to road racing, would excel.
Oh yeah,
yeah, just more aggressive and driving it harder.
Yeah. And what's cool is if you ever get a chance, dial up the supercart races in Europe. It's phenomenal.
Those are cool to watch.
Yeah,
Okay.
really cool.
Neat.
Yeah. There's a lot of onboard. They're racing at really famous tracks, and those guys huck it in pretty hard.
When you're over there in Europe in your early 20s, there, what did you get a chance doing the supercart stuff, or what all kind of? You said you did the World Championships.
Yeah.
Who are some of the drivers you're rubbing elbows with? Do you remember back then?
God.
And what year is that roughly?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah. So truly, I'm drawing a blank, but I mean, there's guys that went to F1. Yeah.
And how'd you go? As an American, I know that in general we haven't excelled a bunch.
Better now though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some kids that are doing really well. I sucked, but I blame some of it on our philosophy, our equipment, and
really?
stuff. I mean, going over there with experimental, axle clutches and stuff, and was not
really having a baseline to go over with.
Yeah, and trying to fit into an ecosystem that didn't really run that way, and even if it did run well, it was very ambitious, And I went to a bunch of other races. I did really well. I went to Russia and raced a World Cup there, and I won that, and that was really cool. That was in shifter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but that was later.
Wait, when you're talking about philosophy and stuff like that, so here in the States, you're kicking ass.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't really matter what it is at the sharp end. And granted, you have some advantages with the horseman relationship and with but when you move over there, so with horsemen, are the two packages so different then that you can't really take what you have here in the States and carry it with you, if you will?
Yeah, and I think it was just underdeveloped, and Horseman was really keen on showing horsemen and showing that you could compete with a clutch versus a direct drive, and you can't. Yeah.
Gotcha. So right out of the gate, you might have been best in class.
Yeah.
But you weren't going to be able to even attack those other guys because of the fundamental, like you said, the philosophy that you guys were carrying going in. Yeah,
and just jumping in, like, if you want to do well over there, you need to be there pretty much full time. I mean, look, like Enzo, from Deligny. Yeah, Deligny. He's doing amazing. They live there. I mean, they live near South Garda. And they're immersed in it. And the other people do too. They move over and don't do as well. I don't know what the recipe that they've found, but he's really, really doing well. I'm
to your point,
so impressed.
You got to really put some time in, and like you said, immerse yourself in not just the driving, but the environment and how things are how things are run and stuff like that.
It's just like coming here. I mean, if someone came into our system from a different system, you can't just show up even at LAKC and think you're going to win. It's such a different animal. I mean, maybe you'll do well, but
to think you're going to go and blow them out of the water.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So you go and do the Europe stuff, and that was, again, you're the driver for a horseman at the time, and they want to showcase their product and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more horseman than Howie at that point.
Right.
When you come back, are you still, after not doing well, when you come back, does that kind of change things for you when you come back to the States, or is it still like, no, we're in your early 20s, still going to go kart racing and just try to win kart championships?
Yeah, I think right when I came back, shifter kart racing was starting to be a thing. There was it was just starting to get going, and
like
that
mid 90s.
Yeah, that really interested me.
Okay.
And I got into shifter kart racing. That was
the next step for you.
That was the next step, and
because you had already done the supercart stuff,
and
that's a gearbox,
and shifter kart stuff was just so fun, and I just loved it, and it just reignited sort of that passion. I mean, it never really went away, but it was just another progressive step, kind of, and that was super cool.
Was the thought here go to cars, or you were just focused on karting?
So at that point, then I started to become aware of cars, and I think somewhere in there I got my first taste of car racing. I went to it just like would fall into these crazy opportunities. This guy, they were in Mexico. They were promoting the Formula 3 series, and they wanted a bunch of American drivers. They were going to race. It was the last time they raced the Formula 1 race in Phoenix. They had a F1 race, and
God, that was like early 90s.
Yeah, early 90s. Yeah, so it mixed in there. It was all happening at the same time. So we went down to Mexico and got to test. There were a bunch of Americans. Even Lynn St. James was in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. And
you're just as a top level karter.
Yeah.
You're getting it. And how do you get the call up? Like who's the person that's like, hey, you guys got to get Howie Idleson?
This is some guy in Chicago, a promoter in Chicago. I can't remember how it came about, but I had to come up with some money. I had to come up with like, I don't know, $1,000 or something to go down, and then we were treated like royalty. We stayed in the guy who was promoting the series owned a chain of hotels. He was like some billionaire dude. He was the Reynard chassis importer for this South Central and Mexico F3 championship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so my first experience in a car, the F3 car at Mexico City. And on the track there. So we did a couple days of testing and then raced.
And the whole point of that test was to get you guys ready for Phoenix? Or was it just to kind of see if you're worth a shit?
I think it was just to get some Americans involved in the series.
Exposure.
And yeah, they had a bunch of races in Mexico too. So we did a few races there too. Went to Monterrey, Mexico, and yeah, it was awesome doing that stuff. And then we went to the Phoenix race, and that was very cool too.
How do you get a chance? You said you had to come up with some money to go do
not
this.
a lot though. I mean by even today's standards, it was just.
And it's a sponsored ride. Essentially from this guy?
Yeah.
So you get a chance to run F3 at the F1 weekend at Phoenix.
Yeah.
Essentially for get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And like I think I was telling you, it was like one of the best days of my life doing that race. It was such a rock star feeling, and I had never experienced anything like that.
The full effect from, getting the call up to go to this race.
Yeah.
And then having everything there for you. That's so cool.
Yeah.
In 91.
Yeah.
Think about the F1 drivers in 91.
Senna.
Good golly.
Yeah. Driving down pit lane and there's Senna just kind of hanging out in his pit watching us drive by.
That's so crazy.
So crazy.
That is badass.
Yeah.
How did you take to the car?
I loved it. I finished 6th in that race. And
Nice.
there's a lot of cars and like some solid drivers that, I want to say Adrian Fernandez was in there, and
Oh, wow.
yeah. I mean, there were some really good guys,
Yeah.
and I was the top of the Americans, which was good.
I was going to ask, do you remember some of the other Americans that were chosen or hit up too?
Elton Julian, I think he wasn't in as an American. I think he was Ecuadorian. This guy Bobby Carvel, he was the F2000 champion. There was a guy, Chris Brooks, not Christian Brooks, but another who became a car owner after that. Lynn St. James.
So you're going to be in this top American in this race. Does anything come? Do you go anywhere with the car gig after that, or is it like, hey, thanks for playing. That was a cool opportunity.
It's crickets.
Wow,
Oh, man.
Yeah, they don't care.
man,
Yeah.
man. I would still think you get phone call or something. I mean, especially coming from karts, right?
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
that was your first experience in a car, right? Doing the F3 thing.
Yeah.
And you go from karts to doing pretty damn good in the test to finishing 6th, top American at this deal. And now we're good. Moving on.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Then the next thing I did was there was this driver search thing for a Trans Am ride.
Oh,
cool.
That Bondurant put on with Roush.
oh, nice.
And you had to pay to be it. And there was like, I want to say several hundred guys.
wow.
And it was all done in World Challenge cars at the beginning to make it through. And they took the top 10 to come back. And I got into the top 10.
Is this at the Bondurant deal?
At Bondurant.
Yeah.
And you came back a few weeks later after they cycled through everybody. And there was the top 10 and then they put us in a Trans Am car. And that was the best thing I've ever driven was
Man.
that Trans Am car.
What year is that, Ralph?
94?
94.
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, it was all done by points, by like your fastest lap, your overall, like the time session were like 5 laps or something like so, like the cumulative, and then a little bit of like interview stuff. And I lost out to Brian Simo by like 1 point. I had the fastest overall lap of the whole thing, and lost out to Brian Simo of No Fear, who went on to, he's an awesome driver and stuff. But
You ended up losing at 1 point. He's got the fastest lap, but those accumulative laps must have been pretty piss poor. If you,
I was close, but I don't know.
You're there to the interview with it too.
Yeah,
That's still
probably the interview part killed me. Yeah.
That's still such a cool opportunity to
Yeah.
have, though.
Wow.
And that just
And those cars in the mid '90s were bad freaking
Oh, yeah.
ass, man.
It was
I
a-
remember watching
sure.
it at Portland.
yeah, it was a Roush Mustang.
That is so
and
cool.
I mean, to drive that thing, that I tell people this every, like, the closest thing to a go-kart, people say F1 car or whatever. I've never driven an F1 car, but I've driven lower formula cars. And they're nothing like a go-kart. But a Trans Am car, you drive it just like a go-kart.
Really?
Yeah, it's so cool.
Is
I
it
mean,
just because stiff? There's
it's
not
stiff.
as much.
You drive it with a throttle a
Yeah.
lot. I think
neat.
that's so much of it. And just the sort of the load on the tire is really similar. You get a lot of feedback from the car. But man, if I could do that again, I would.
I'm just watching you tell the story, thinking back on it.
It's
It's
so
all
awesome.
smiles.
Yeah. It's just that horsepower and the familiar feeling of how it drives. Add that sound and the horsepower to it, and I mean, it's just
The sound.
That's awesome.
And I like any go-karter that knows their way around a go-kart I believe could jump in a Trans Am car and do really well.
Man. Yeah, I remember the sound. I listen to them like watching TV, and the transmission whine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's badass.
So cool. Yeah.
So you get a chance to do a pretty couple of badass things in cars there in the early to mid 90s. But then you're talking about getting into the shifter game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pro Moto Tour and things like that are starting to go on. You jump into the Pro Moto Tour game right away?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I can't remember exactly what year that starts, but how old are you at that point?
98, I think.
I was going to say later 90s. How old are you at that point? And are you
Late
Is
20s.
Everybody about the same age, or are they?
No, it's all over the place.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And they didn't have a master's class at that point.
It was just shifter.
Yeah, just shifter.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. It was open, pretty much open motors, which that's a whole other situation, and making a lot of horsepower from really creative people. And it was
Who are you running with at that time?
Track Magic.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How'd you get with the Track Magic deal? Because they're obviously, one of the big time deals, especially back then, as far as the shifter game was.
I knew Eric Swenson, who was Fausto's partner, who the owner of Thrasher magazine, who owned Track Magic at the time, or started Track Magic. So those two guys started Track Magic with George Barros, who I had been racing against anyway. And I think they were telling me they're building this new chassis and I should drive one. I was down in SoCal. They were up in NorCal. And so I got a Track Magic and started racing that.
Just boom.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And then later on, when Jason Lapointe kind of stepped away, his dad wanted to keep going. So I wound up partnering up with Gary Lapointe as my tuner and partial engine builder for a big part of my shifter career. I did with Gary Lapointe.
Yeah, and I know that name from my neck of the woods.
Yeah. Sure.
I remember Jason Lapointe as being a freaking badass at Pat's Acres where I was running.
Yeah.
When the shifters are rolling. And I started when I was in 94. I was running as a kid, but then I go back and watch the races every once in a while when I wasn't racing. And man, oh man, the Pro Moto Tour going through there, that was like the friggin' biggest race you could possibly do up there at the time. At least that's the way it seemed at the time.
Yeah.
Did you go up there and run there? How'd you do at Pat's Acres?
Let's see. I think in the pro class, I didn't do well, but I went back and ran in the Masters and won it.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And I've been up there a lot. I'm still really close with the Lapointes.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to them all the time. Jason and I bought the rights to Track Magic together.
Oh wow! Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So we kind of re-energized that with Gary Carlton.
Yeah.
And
That was a cool deal.
yeah. So Jason's putting his money into it. I'm putting my design into it, and Gary's sort of running the program. Where it's a really cool program that I should mention. We sponsor a driver and full ride, one driver.
Wow.
Yeah, right now it's Cole Shade, and he's the guy. And there's a really robust Track Magic owners group, and with a lot of members, big Facebook page. They're all into restoring the go-karts, and they help fund the driver.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Kind of like a crowd-funded kind of scenario.
That's really neat.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's funded by the group.
That's neat.
Yeah.
And it's all people who were involved in somehow, shape, or form, either as owners or otherwise, of Track Magic.
Yep. And there's tons of Track Magic restorations, and we have track days, and it's super cool.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Oh, that would be
That's
cool to
really
see a
cool.
bunch of Track Magic
Yeah,
out on course. same
we've
time.
got one
Yeah.
coming up at Pat's.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
big Track Magic track party.
Are you going to be there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I'm going to keep an eye on the Facebook
Yeah,
for that
yeah.
one.
That's
That
really
looks
cool in June.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you get a chance to do these different things, like, as you say, you're doing the Pro Moto Tour and things like that. One of the things I happen to know that you did like 20 some odd Supernats, right?
Yeah.
Like in a row or something, or
Yeah.
like a ton of them.
The first 20.
How many, or excuse me, so you do the Pro Moto Tour and you start getting the Supernats deal. With the career that you had at that point, when the Supernats start happening here and whatnot, is that like to you, is that the pinnacle? Is like, I need to win that particular race above any and all, it doesn't matter what else I've done, that's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I thought of it that way. It was just always the big race to go to. I always wanted to win it. I never did. I stood on the podium several times, which was cool. But yeah, I think I just sort of throughout my entire career just went to each race wanting to win. I've been lucky enough to win championships, and it wasn't until with any of them late in the championship that I ever really sort of paid attention to points. Yeah.
Didn't we were more of just, hey, try to win the race,
Yeah.
and points will take care of themselves kind of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So as a, generally speaking, a one-off event with the Supernats, there is no points.
Right.
Go win the thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even with that, like these 20 years, you got a chance to do those first 20, but you said you hadn't won. I did not know. I thought
Yeah.
you had that's just got to be a little stick in your craw,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How close? You got a close memory?
Second and coming.
Oh, man.
Ran out of time.
Yeah.
Oh man, was it like was that Shifter
yeah.
Masters or
Yeah, Shifter Masters.
what year
Yeah.
was it? You remember?
That was 07, I think. But a couple times, a third, always with, in the hunt to do well in, at least in Masters.
Mhm.
And then, Super Nationals is one of those races, everything has to go your way.
Right.
You just, there's so much racing. The format's a little weird where you don't advance, there's just a one grid, no advancement. And that it puts such a high, mark on qualifying.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. So, I wish they did it differently, because I think,
There's no way to really bounce back after
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I'm
The
with you.
flip side, that does kind of, ease the pain of having a bad heat, I suppose, to a certain extent.
well, you have a bad heat, you drop all those points too. So,
no,
I
for
mean,
sure. But
yeah,
at least you start back up at the sharp end.
you
to
start
have
back
another-
up at the sharp end, but you can't have a bad heat.
No, exactly.
You know?
Not
I mean, in
technically well.
any heat format, you just can't have a bad heat.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've gotten pretty damn close, but no cigar on the Supernats win. But you have, and obviously you got the Munchkin. It's not much of a Munchkin now anymore, though. But
Yeah.
Dane, who's racing, so you're still there doing the Supernats thing vicariously through him. But also, you've been involved on the design side and in track design. How have you before Supernats? Had you done any track design stuff, and how did you kind of get involved in that deal?
I had done track design stuff, nothing professionally that ever saw the light of day. I'll get to that in a second, but it was Tom's idea. He just asked if since it was kind of like since Bonner and I had run every Supernats, and I think it was as a result of getting so criticized for the first Westgate track.
Okay, yeah.
Which was kind of a disaster. They wanted to be able to blame somebody else. So he asked if Bonner and I would come in and design the track.
There you go.
And
For the races, by the races, blame the racers.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Which was cool. I thought it was a smart idea on his part. And it was a really cool project that I took super seriously. I know Bonner did too. And we worked really hard on it. And I think that first track we did was one of the best tracks that we raced on.
That was the second year at Westgate?
Yep, second year at Westgate with the really fast first corner and the back-to-back hairpins right after.
Well, and that fast left to the hairpin has become, and second has kind of been a staple now.
Yeah. We tried to inject that into it. I mean, street racing, parking lot racing needs to have a little bit of that formula. You need to be able to spread out the pack before the first hard braking zone, rather than make the first hard braking zone the first thing that come up on, and then the run onto the straightaway. You need to be able to make it so that somebody can capitalize at the end of the straightaway as well. So those two ends of the track were designed for that, and the racing was really good.
Aside from the formula of the first part and last part, if you will, did you guys try to think back on? Remember when we ran in such and such race? How cool that corner was! You guys try to inject that into the design?
Yeah, definitely. We took. I remember one of the years we took the big long corner from Sloan, the first Supernationals track in Vegas. Out in Vegas at the Rock Pile.
Yeah. Me personally, I've never been around.
Yeah. So it was a really iconic, like 4 apex right-hander.
Yeah.
That ended in a hard braking. It was very fast, so it was almost like a whole circle into a hard braking left-hand hairpin.
Oh, neat.
And it was just a neck stretcher.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. We actually have something almost exactly like that in the machismo layout.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's just, I called it turn 8 or turkey from the Istanbul track, just almost all the way around to a circle and then left-hand hairpin.
Yeah. It's cool. It was super challenging. And so we would try to put things in like that were reminiscent of it. So we went to great lengths too, I mean, like getting the old satellite pictures and dimensions and trying to really figure out how to replicate it carefully.
Yeah, and then do we have enough barriers for all this kinds of stuff?
Yeah.
And can we plug this thing? And again, how will it race? You got to be able to pass on a street circuit too at the same time.
And that was part of it too. Every year we did the tracks. We'd go and lay it out, take a go-kart, run laps, move things around, make adjustments and get it to where we thought it was going to be good. Yeah.
And that can be a laborious kind of deal as in and of itself. I remember when we were doing the same thing with the machismo when we went out to the bull ring in Vegas, 2011 and 12, we had a temporary deal where we'd use the bull ring itself at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for like this, high bank, high speed deal. And then you come up and out like stadium style, like the Coliseum for X Games. And then we had, myself and Brad Packard and Rob Niles designed the deal, but you're out there like, this is what we think it's going to be. And you move a cone and you try this, you try that. And kind of the stuff we've done out here with the Sportivo layout and Technico layout that I've been part of the design on.
What's going to work?
Yeah. You're like, I think this is going to work. And you go out and you run, you're like, no, that was garbage actually.
Yeah.
Try something different.
Yeah.
You said that you had done some designs that didn't see the light of day.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Well, I'm still working on it too.
Oh,
so
nice.
my family, we inherited a piece of land in LA County, 60 acres flat land.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my ultimate dream is to build a track. And, but I need money. So, but yeah, so I've worked with an engineer and, working on layouts and just trying to get it as close to being ready to do something with as possible. And I've been working on it for a few years because I've been we've had like multiple offers to buy it. These people want to rent it to put solar panels on it. I mean, so it's been like off and on again, and this project, and now it's kind of back on again. I'm really inspired to build something. I think, we've got such an amazing participation group here in SoCal, and this is it, CalSpeed. There's no other place to run.
Very central,
but there's no place to race in SoCal other than here.
Yeah.
Adams, I mean, the modern go-kart around Adams, it's not compatible.
A little more challenging.
It's not, I mean, for a race, to race there. I just don't. I think the go-karts have evolved. They're much bigger than what it was designed for, and I mean, this is really the only place you can race. I mean, Paris is very small too. Fun to test and stuff, but I mean, to conduct a big race.
Yeah. I've never actually run at Adams, so I couldn't, but I know that when I was at Prairie City racing there, having been on the outside, I was like very Prairie City-esque as far as it kind of being old school and things like that. And I remember being at Prairie City going, because they had like a corkscrew section and crap like that. I'm like, I can't imagine doing anything faster than like 100 cc.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and they do shifters there. I'm like,
yeah,
no,
that's
crazy.
It is crazy. And I mean, there's very little runoff and things like that. But anyway, so I think the surrounding area could, is deserving of a second option, and then at the same time, there's a lot of filming and car commercials and things that get done here to sort of make it into something that looked really nice, with good curbing and some grass, and where you could take a car or shoot a car, stills or.
So you're telling me I just need to paint this green? We need to paint the green.
Yeah, exactly. Or do the Magny-Cour, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does look
that
neat.
paint's expensive.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I've tried to get him to do it at the Supernats. I designed a whole graphic scheme, and we looked into it, and it was like, that's not going to happen.
You still got paid for the graphic design, though.
Yeah.
All
no, there was no money involved. Believe me. Yeah. It was a favor to Tom and
Howie's wild idea. About
yeah. I did, but then on the track design, I did do a lot of stuff with Global Rallycross and Red Bull and designing.
Cool.
Worked with the head engineer there and worked on a bunch of the circuits for that.
Do you have any rallycross or rally experience yourself?
No.
So how did you try? Kind of seen what they've done before, or like kind of learn as you go? How did that work out?
Just working for Red Bull, doing a lot of conceptual creative work for Red Bull, and just through my network of people, and they asked to come in, and so originally I was doing the branding on when Rallycross was sort of, I don't know if they were purchased by Red Bull or Red Bull injected a lot of money
into
into
partnership.
Yeah. I came in and worked on the branding, and for the inaugural event, which was held at SEMA in Vegas, and we designed the track, we did billboards, we did all kinds of stuff. They put a lot of money into it, and then from there, I worked with their track engineer designer on making the tracks look good. So a lot of graphics, a lot of ground graphics and things like that. And then every once in a while, I'd see a corner like, you should tweak that corner, or something, and
you're like, oh, Howie Idelson, you does branding. Yeah, you could design a track too.
Yeah.
Get in there, buddy.
Yeah, but the kart track thing is just one of my ultimate sort of bucket lists. I'm gonna work on it till the day I die, and I'm trying to get that thing done.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a partner to do it with.
Sure.
Yeah.
You said it's like 60 acres in LA?
Yeah.
Or
LA County. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty killer.
It's perfect.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, and we talked about you having this illustrious career, having all this different kind of stuff you've done racing wise, all the Supernats and other things, cool things you got a chance to do. Yeah, I haven't seen you in the seat a whole bunch these days. We talked earlier briefly, like we have Dane Idleson, who is he's damn near your height now. It's crazy, but he's now a junior, actually fresh off a win at Tri-C this last weekend.
Yeah.
Have things kind of transitioned? Have you hung the helmet up? Maybe not for good, but for now, watching the kid drive.
I never say never. I always feel like I could jump right in and do okay. That's probably I'll probably get my ass handed to me, but no, I mean, I want to race, but at the same time, I'm finding so much satisfaction tuning for the kid, and I'm learning so much. It's just something like I've never really had the opportunity. I always worked on my go-karts, but this is a different capacity, and and it's such a unique experience to tune for your own kid.
Sure.
And it's so satisfying. And I mean, just to win is like on another level. Even, even it's here, it's Tri-C. It's not like the national tour, but that was amazing. And he's just to be along for the ride in his sort of trajectory and see his improvement. He's one of those kids that he picks things up pretty quick, but at the same time, he's got ADHD and it's sort of hard for him to like take input and then go do it on the track. He doesn't. And so it's been really interesting to watch his path to get to here, where now he's found this confidence and aggressiveness and all the components. It just
come together.
It just came together.
Well, and it's happening like you see it lately.
It's
really started to show up. I'm like, wow, the orange helmet's at the sharp end here, buddy. This is looking pretty good.
And it's like he wears it, and that's the side that I most identify with now. It's like he has the confidence now, and
he's got the passion for it too.
Yeah, he loves it. But I mean, he would take a loss or something so hard, and so now to see him with this confidence and also a different level of maturity, I think he's starting to kind of come into his own as a person, and it's just so rewarding to see that, And
it's
then
one thing to win, and then another thing to win as a dad and being a part of that.
And as a dad, not just writing a check, it's all me.
You're involved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I prep the carts, I tune the carts, I do everything. And so it's special,
I think the reality is actually Dane hasn't gotten any better. It's just that he's sucked less as a tuner.
Right. We could say, you need to remind him of that.
Fantastic.
It won't go over well with me.
Well, I'll tell you what, the summer shootout, man. You can run Masters. He can run Junior. You both get tickets to Rock and run together.
You got until August to train. You got some time.
So I'd love to get on track with it. That'd be fun.
I'm so dying to do it. It's just that's the rub. It's the work level, I mean, like to run to, like we haven't. The last time we were on track was, I think, my last Supernats, where I tuned for him and me.
Oh, I saw a picture of the two of you.
Yeah. And dude, that was a lot. And late. I mean, because they split us up, morning and afternoon. PM, and it was hard.
Man,
it was really hard.
That's a really long day.
It is a long day, and I don't know if I have it in me anymore. So if I race, maybe he would tune for me or something.
There you go. Yeah.
Dane,
the tire pressures are on you.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think you'd want to jump back into a shifter or some of the air-cooled stuff?
I don't care.
Anything.
Yeah, whatever it is, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. I love the shifter stuff, and we just got a shifter that Dane loves the shifter. He got a taste of it, so we got one. We're going to build up here pretty soon and just let him go drive it. So I'll probably jump into that and play around.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
He's almost starting to grow into being the same size seat as you
I
now,
know.
too.
How frightening is that? Yeah.
I've always looked at him as being a little munchkin. Like I said, he's about your height.
I know, and I hear his voice change, and sometimes he's in the house and he'll say something. I'm like, who's in the house? I'm like, what's going on? It's a shock, man.
Going back to all the Supernats you did 20 in a row. Two-part question. One, what was 1 year where you're like, me and the chassis are just working together right now? Like you just clicked with it that year. And I'm sure there's been more than once. But what year and what chassis do you think you just got along with really well throughout that whole season? And two, how was it having your last Supernats?
Oh, and to add to that, did you think it was your last Supernats at the time?
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I mean, there was no like bittersweet moment or anything like that. I mean, when I knew I wasn't going to race the 21st in consecutive, order, it was like, okay, I'm still going. I'm tuning for Dane. It was like, no, it didn't didn't bother me, but it was it was a bigger deal to everybody else.
Sure.
You know, and
The
Bonner
streak was over.
yeah. Bonner like still rubs it in my face a little bit, but I mean, not really, but I mean, I'm just happy for Bonner. I think that's so cool that he's been able to keep going, and
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. But I feel like I'm racing in a way when I go with Dane. I mean, it's so intense and it's so just all consuming that I feel like I'm racing when I'm there.
So
Even just tuning.
yeah, your name may not be on the entry list,
Right.
but it's on the pit pass list.
Yeah.
You might as well be right there.
Yeah, and then as far as the go-karts and stuff, there's definitely two. There's the time I got second. Something happened and I had to start pretty far back, and I mean that was ours to win. I think I had won the Pro Moto Tour Championship already, and I was on a first kart.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gary LaPointe tuning.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome. Yeah. I mean, it was just on a roll. I mean, we were the fastest all weekend, and got into some sort of mess and had to start 8th or 9th, and just weren't enough laps.
That's far enough
another
back, yeah.
needed another lap. That was it.
Man.
And then the other time was on the Sodi kart with Texav Power
Okay.
from Europe. The KZ,
Nice.
Texav, that was just phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how different a full-on race KZ is. I maybe it's a little more accessible now, but back then it wasn't. There was a couple of guys in the US that built KZ motors.
Yeah.
And then you get on one of the
Suitcase engines, as they
suitcase
say.
engine. Yeah. So running that. And I can't remember what happened, but it didn't go our way. But just the privilege to drive that was pretty amazing. Yeah. And I still say I think the Sodi kart is a phenomenal product, and they're so innovative. I really hold that company in high regard. They've come out with a lot of innovation, and the go-kart is always really good.
It sucks. We don't get to see too many down here in SoCal, and but when you do, Sodi's always the best looking go-kart.
Yeah.
I love the orange and the
The
sometimes
old McLaren thing was
yeah,
sweet.
that man, the color scheme they always have for the Sodi is so sick.
Yeah.
They're so good looking.
Yeah. And they drive really well. Yeah.
I wish I knew how to drive. Like I was on a Sodi when they first came over to the States as like had a U.S. team, and Luke Vasquez and Black Flag Racing were running it. But I was on one and didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'd love to have, and I remember there was like all these. I don't remember there being a lot of pill adjustment, and this thing had a ton of pill adjustment. There was a lot of front end geometry tuning that they would do to get the car to do what they wanted, versus other things would be axles or what have you. And I just sucked. So I would love to have had a chance to drive something like that again.
Have more experience.
Yeah, back then, that kind of deal. But yeah, anytime you got a chassis comes out, like kind of what you had mentioned earlier about kind of geeking out on different things or whatever, I kind of see something will pop up on e-karting news or this or whatever, that this new thing has come out from this manufacturer. I'm like, oh, that's kind of, what is that? That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Checking that out. Moving forward here, bud, the kid's running all the time. He's not quite into seniors. He's got another year or two for seniors yet. And then there's going to be college or whatever. The kid goes to college and maybe he doesn't race as much. We're going to see you racing out here now.
Sure.
There it is.
I got to do something.
That boy.
My wife doesn't want me hanging out. Yeah.
So you're definitely going racing again. Is there, you get back in the seat, what would you want to go race right now? If, you don't have to worry about the tuning thing, are you going Masters Pro Tour? Are you going all the way to the top straight away?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've never felt like, a big race was any different than a club race. It's still a go-kart race, it's, and there's more guys maybe, but I always approach everything the same way. So there was never any sort of intimidation because it was a bigger race or anything like that. but yeah, I don't know. I don't really care. Whatever it is, I want to go drive. If it's KA or if it's KZ,
that's awesome.
It's all good to me.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's all fun.
I'm looking forward to seeing you back out on the and hopefully at the shootout. That'd be fun to do. And I'd love to race with you at Tracy. Maybe Dane will take one off and you can go out there and play.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. But I really, I get so much enjoyment out of going racing with him.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, that's I don't feel like I'm missing something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still racing in a way,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I got to tell you, this was a lot of damn fun. I really appreciate you coming out here and taking time off of work, and we'll be able to get you out of here and back to it here at a decent time. And Howie, thanks again, buddy. And
this is cool, man.
And again, I want to maybe I'll put a spoke in his tire or something like that, so you can come out here and I want to wheel to wheel with you. It'd be a lot of fun.
I would love that. That would be cool. So and this is official now. I get in free all the time. So
anyway,
is that how it works?
Mike gives out free hugs. That's where the
free hugs,
comes in.
yeah. And you got a koozie and a sticker. What more could you ask for?
I guess. Yeah, that's nice.
Howie, thanks so much, buddy.
Yeah, you got it. All right.